The festival begins in a few hours. I was simply excited to spend time with Yuri, though I don't really care about the festival much itself. I pulled myself from the warmth of my bed and put my uniform on. On any given day, I'd prefer to stay home. Today was just inexplicably different. I left my house in a bit of a trance-like state as usual. I did, however, notice that my parents were still gone. They had overseas jobs. The unexpected, yet crisp, cool morning took me by surprise upon opening the door. I nearly shut it in shock. After my body adjusted to the sudden temperature drop, I left with ease. Since I was in a good mood, I went straight to Sayori's house. Like the other day, I simply text, "I'm coming over." I hope she's awake. Figuring she knew I was coming ahead of time, I let myself in. "Sayori," I called as I did. I heard a shuffle come from upstairs, and a startled, "Just a minute," Sayori shouted with a near commanding tone. A moment later, she came sprinting down the stairs. She looked more like she was tumbling as she came. "Hi," she said. I nodded, admittedly daydreaming. I chuckled. "You ready?" I asked. She looked a little pained. "Just a minute," she said under her breath, as she retreated up the stairs. I was only just noticing her peculiar, uncharacteristic clothing. Red shorts, and a half button-up, too. I didn't think much of such things. I heard drawers upstairs as I waited. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had just interrupted something big. She was, after all, awake for once. I was leaning against her front door when she came back down in her school uniform. Her parents hadn't come down to say hello yet, so they must have been off to work. Sayori went into the kitchen and grabbed something from the oven before meeting me at the door. "Ta-da," she said slowly. She presented a batch of cat cupcakes. "Did you make these yourself?" I asked. Sort of. I helped Natsuki," she said. "She said she wanted to leave them here, so her dad wouldn't eat them," Sayori explained. "And you helped Monica?" "Impressive," I marveled. "We need to hurry," Sayori said. "I'm usually the one saying that to you," I said, stifling laughter as I opened the door. We walked and talked, our moods improving as we did. I felt a strange tugging sensation as we passed by my house again. The feeling stopped me dead in my tracks, and I stared at my front door. "What is it?" Sayori asked. I caught my breath in shock and quickly passed the tray of cupcakes that I offered to carry back to Sayori. I sprinted into the house and grabbed the poster Yuri and I had painted over the weekend. I left it on my couch and nearly forgot it. It was dry, so I folded it into a roll and was back out to Sayori quickly. I texted Yuri that I was on my way to school. I carried the cupcakes for Sayori because they were heavier, and Sayori carried our poster. We kept on to school. Sayori held the door open, and we both stepped into the club room. "Hello," Monica, Yuri, and Natsuki beamed. Yuri was quietest, Natsuki was loudest, and Monica was smoothest. Sayori and I both said hello, and we traded our cupcakes and poster. "What's with the desks?" I asked, noting that they were placed in clusters of 4 rather than individual desks. "It's so groups who will be wandering together during the festival can sit together," Natsuki said proudly. "That's a good idea," praised Sayori. It was. Sayori engaged Monica and Natsuki, and I slipped away to Yuri in the back of the closet. She was organizing a bunch of books in an order that only made sense to her. "Need help?" I asked, and Yuri nearly tripped backwards, startled. "Sorry," I muttered. She took a deep breath and said, "It's okay." I looked again at the books. I suggested that some of the current members of the club showcase their favorite books to help encourage others, Yuri explained. I nodded. "Good idea," I said. "Thank you. We should set up the banner now," she said, leading me to the door. I looked back at the closet and got a decent look at the books. Yuri's book, Portrait of Markov, and a few other surreal horror books were there, accompanied by a bunch of manga and Sylvia Plath. Yuri took the banner and hung it above the front door by the teacher's desk, and set it along the top of the wall to the door in the back by the closet. I would have done it, but Yuri was taller. I rose only to her chin in height. That made it pretty hard not to stare at her chest, since it was at eye level. I blushed a little at that thought. I hardly noticed Yuri pull out a thick pen that oddly looked similar to mine, which seemingly disappeared after Yuri's visit. With it, she wrote, "The future isn't as much a consequence of our actions as we believe. We can still write our own stories." My jaw dropped. I never heard that quote before. The other girls stopped talking and stared at the banner with the same curiosity as me. "That's amazing," Monica said. "Where did you get that?" Sayori asked. Yuri blushed. I came up with it on the spot," she said shyly. "I think that works quite nicely," Natsuki said, smiling with such satisfaction. Such satisfaction that she playfully punched Yuri in the arm. Yuri recoiled, slightly in shock, but disguised it pretty quickly. She smiled at me and said the rest of the decorations were on a desk. With that, she excused herself to the bathroom and awkwardly fidgeted with her sleeve on the way out. I didn't wait on the others, if they were helping at all. I got straight to work. Yuri told me all the arrangements she wanted to make. That's when I noticed they were packed into a suitcase. Wow, I knew that there would be a lot of work, but this was seriously next level. I opened the case and grabbed the sheets. The others watched me curiously. Monica grabbed a bunch of papers and sat at the teacher's desk. She watched me quizzically as she wrote. Natsuki carried the cupcake tray to a table set like a food stand. There were paper trays, and 2 2-liter bottles of juices accompanied by plastic red cups. There was also another tray of cupcakes that had a few missing. Natsuki herself also kept looking between her work and mine. Yuri and I kept our plans relatively secret. Sayori came straight to my side and offered to help. I handed her a few curtains and directed her to hang them over the windows. After a moment, the entire room was enveloped in darkness. I clicked on a light before Natsuki could complain. Their expressions seemed more focused than before. "Just bear with me, all right?" I said. They all nodded. I then grabbed some candles and set them on the teacher's desk around Monica. She looked curiously, but stayed silent. Just then, Yuri came in, looking a little tired. We smiled at each other, and she took over with Sayori. I pulled a chair and sat in front of Monica. "So, that was Yuri's book showcase idea?" I asked. Monica took a break from her work. Yuri is going to explain the appeal of her books, horror. And I'm going to describe the appeal of mine, and Natsuki wants to discuss her manga, she explained. "Which books are yours?" I asked. Monica paused. "Sylvia Plath," she said. That caught me off guard because I totally expected those to be Yuri's. "Huh, no kidding. I'll get back to work," I said. Monica nodded. When I joined Yuri and Sayori, they were both doing different tasks. Sayori was placing streamers, and Yuri was putting bright electric, but not real candles that were still in the shape of candles on the windowsills behind the black curtains. I grabbed Yuri's aromatherapy cylinders and placed them behind the curtains next to the fake candles. "So, do you have any ideas after we do our part in the festival?" I asked. She smiled slightly, nodding and quietly saying, "Yes, actually." I didn't press her further, yet I certainly hoped those plans included me. My heart began to flutter. We all finished our work as the bell for the day began. The mood was set, the snacks were ready, and the literature was prepared. We all marveled at our handiwork. The candles behind the curtains cast a dim orange light over the shadowed room. The aromatherapy was already affecting my mood, and the snacks begged to be eaten. "All right, let's do this," Monica said, throwing the doors open.